Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, US President Donald Trump calls Ukraine's Zelensky after talks with Putin in Alaska. India appreciates the progress made in Alaska. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar holds talks with visiting South Korean counterpart in New Delhi. Discussion held on new opportunities in AI, semiconductors, clean energy and defense. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi to visit India on the 18th and 19th of this month to hold the 24th round of special representative talks on India-China boundary question with India's special representative, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. In northwest Pakistan, over 300 dead as heavy rains trigger flash floods. Scores still missing in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Following his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska, US President Donald Trump took to social media platform Truth Social, announcing that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky would be visiting Washington, D.C. on Monday. Trump, in a post on Truth Social, said, and I quote, "It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement which would end the war and not a mere ceasefire agreement, which often times do not hold up. President Zelensky will be coming to D.C., the Oval Office, on Monday afternoon. If all works out, we will then schedule a meeting with President Putin. Potentially millions of people's lives will be saved," unquote. And after talks in Alaska with President Putin, Donald Trump held a lengthy phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and also spoke to NATO leaders following his Friday summit. The US President also called the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European leaders and briefed them on his meeting with Putin. And European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen stressed on EU's commitment to reaching just and lasting peace in Ukraine, working closely with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the United States. She further emphasized on the need for strong security guarantees that protect Ukrainian and European security interests, welcoming Trump's statement on providing security guarantees to Ukraine. In a joint statement, EU leaders stressed that there should be no limitations on Ukraine's armed forces and it should be free to cooperate with third countries, adding that Russia should not have a veto against Ukraine's pathway to EU and NATO. Meanwhile, India has welcomed the summit meeting in Alaska between Trump and Putin of Russia. The Indians, in a statement, the Ministry of External Affairs said that their leadership in the pursuit of peace is highly commendable. The statement further emphasized that India appreciates the progress made in the summit, adding that the way forward can only be through dialogue and diplomacy, and the world wants to see an early end to the conflict in Ukraine. Russia Today correspondent Igor Piskunov has sent us this special report from Alaska on the meeting between Presidents Putin and Trump. Let's take a listen.
I think it's fair to say that this was quite an interesting and unexpected culmination of this historic meeting, the first one in years between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump here in Alaska, in Anchorage, at a U.S. military base. Vladimir Putin, by the way, today became the first Russian leader to set foot on Alaskan soil. And I think that was among the issues, the factors which created this positive atmosphere of companionship. The way Vladimir Putin was greeted here with fighter jets accompanying his aircraft, then both presidents simultaneously exiting their planes and then walking towards one another, shaking hands, having a small conversation without anybody, without translators or aides. Then suddenly Donald Trump asking Vladimir Putin to get into his car and driving him off to the start of the official meeting. All of these little points give us hope that Russia and the United States will be able to start really moving forward and fixing this complicated relationship, which reached one of its lowest points during the previous US administration. Vladimir Putin started his statement during that final media conference by calling Donald Trump his neighbor. Donald Trump said that Vladimir Putin is among the most experienced politicians, and the two have a working relationship. And I think it's true. I wouldn't call this a friendship, but it's definitely a working companionship. And this is what we've seen here today. The Russian president, unexpectedly at the end of his statement, suddenly invited Donald Trump to come and visit Moscow. The US president had quite an interesting reaction to that. He said he's probably going to receive some heat, but he's definitely going to think about it. And I think it's also very important to add that besides Ukraine, the two sides discussed quite a lot of other joint potential projects in business, culture, and in general, they are talking about rebuilding this relationship. And perhaps what we've seen today here in Anchorage is the first real step towards that.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will be visiting India on the 18th and 19th of this month. The visit is happening at the invitation of India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Both of them are special representatives on the boundary question. Wang Yi will participate in the 24th round of the SR level talks on the boundary issue. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also hold bilateral meeting with Wang Yi, who is his counterpart. In Pakistan, over 300 people were killed in torrential rains in northwest region. Cloud bursts, flash floods, lightning strikes and building collapses amid heavy rain caused the fatalities in the hills and mountains of Khyber. Worst hit was the Buner area, where floods and heavy rains caused 100 deaths. Hundreds of others have been killed in recent weeks as Pakistan experienced more rain than usual during the current monsoon season, washing away roads and buildings. While the high temperatures and dry conditions are fueling numerous wildfires across southern Europe, Nigeria and West Africa is facing severe floods. Torrential rains sparked intense floods and damaged hundreds of homes in the northeast Nigerian town of Potiskum. The weather authorities in the West African nation had warned just last week that the parts of 21 of the country's 36 states were under a flood warning due to seasonal rains. More than 200 houses were damaged, while a local civil servant estimated 500 houses were severely hit following overnight rains. Heavy rains generally sweep through Nigeria between June and November, often triggering dangerous floods where poor infrastructure and inadequate drainage often worsen the impact across Africa's most populous country. Meanwhile, residents of Prova village in Portugal are trying to stop wildfires entering their homes as thousands of firefighters are battling large blazes in central and northern parts of the country. Portugal has activated the EU mechanism for assistance and requested 4 Canadian planes. Authorities continue to monitor the situation closely as scorching temperatures and dry winds fuel the spread of the fires. And still to come up on this edition of DD India Live, 10,000 crew of Air Canada strike over wages, flights suspended. Spain continues to battle fires in northwest part of the country. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. Heavy clouds of smoke covered roads, towns and landscapes in Spain's northern region as the country battled 14 major fires driven by high winds and aggravated by heat. In a village in northwestern Spain, residents braced for impact as flames approached. Locals collected nearly 2,000 liters of water in buckets, preparing to defend their homes. Wildfires have burnt more than 157,000 hectares in Spain so far this year, almost double the annual average. Around 10,000 flight attendants of Air Canada went on strike early on Saturday morning after the union and the carrier failed to reach a new labor deal. The airline said on Saturday that it had suspended all flights for Air Canada and its budget arm Canada Rouge after the cabin crew represented by the Canadian Union of Public Employees went on strike. Flights for regional operators Air Canada Jazz and PAL Airlines would continue to operate. A complete shutdown will impact about 130,000 people a day, and some 25,000 Canadians a day may be stranded abroad. Air Canada operates around 700 flights per day. The strike is likely to reverberate across North America and beyond. Air Canada has also warned of disruptions to supply chain networks as the carrier's cargo unit operates in 50 countries with foreign hubs in London and Frankfurt. Air Canada and the Canadian Union of Public Employees have been in contract talks for about 8 months now, but they have failed to reach any tentative deal. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks with his South Korean counterpart Cho Hyun in New Delhi on Saturday. Discussions focused on advancing bilateral cooperation in trade, manufacturing, maritime areas and people-to-people exchanges, as well as new opportunities in AI, semiconductors, clean energy and defense. Jaishankar thanked Korea for its condemnation of the terror attack in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir.
I also want to express our gratitude for the ROK's condemnation of the terrorist attack which took place in Pahalgam on 22nd of April, and the fact that when our parliamentary delegation went to Seoul, I think they got very good meetings. You yourself made an effort to meet them. It's something which we appreciate.
While the South Korean foreign minister said that his country is firmly committed to strengthening ties with India.
Minister, President Lee Jae-myung of our country is firmly committed to strengthening ties with your great country. This was emphasized, as you said, during the summit in Canada, and he personally asked me to convey the best regards to Prime Minister Modi ji.
And my colleague Shobhendu Ghosh now joins us over the video link for more on that story. Shobhendu, what should we make of the timing and the significance of the new foreign minister's visit to India?
Hello, Amrit. Yes, Foreign Minister Cho Hyun of Republic of Korea, that's South Korea. It comes at an important time and day in particular. Remember, yesterday, 15th of August, it's a common national day for both India and South Korea. India celebrates the Independence Day. South Korea celebrates the Liberation Day. In that sense, it celebrates the close partnership between the two countries. There have been civilizational links the past 2 millennia, which is also today sort of reflected in the robust partnership that the two countries share. The two countries also have great convergences as far as the strategic security outlook in the region is concerned. There's a reference to, of course, the condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack, but also in the rest of Indo-Pacific, building a resilient supply chain in the region for the nations are some common priorities. The leaders took forward discussions in a wide range of areas, from defense, security, manufacturing, clean energy, to people-to-people ties. People-to-people ties, particularly the aspect where India's demographic advantage could work for Koreans looking for trained manpower as well. So a possibility of convergence in mobility and migration, turning it into a system where Indians could, in a better position, go to Korea, work there. Their companies, their manufacturing could be held. Areas where the manufacturing companies could come to India and employ Indian technicians, as well as trained skilled workers. So in that sense, there are a host of areas where convergences are taking place. Also, remember, Korea is recovering from sort of political chaos that it witnessed earlier this year, from the declaration of emergency to impeachment of a president. So in that sense, the close partner country like India, it is important to focus on the continuation of the ties as well. So in that context, the visit of the foreign minister assumes great significance.
All right, Shubhendu, if you could give us a sense of what progress was made in these talks on, advancing the talks on the CEPA, or the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and what are the two sides, doing to address the issue of trade imbalances?
Right, trade imbalance is very, very important in the ties and negotiations between India and South Korea. You mentioned about CEPA. There's about $24–25 billion worth of trade volume between India and South Korea. And there's a great imbalance there in the sense that India imports about 17 billion worth of goods, whereas to South Korea, it exports about 6 billion worth of goods. In that sense, that to balance out this difference has been a common concern for both the nations. And we see investments and negotiations in diverse areas, particularly clean energy. Green hydrogen is an area which is an important one. Korea happens to be one of the leading technology provider for green hydrogen. It is not able to manufacture as much of it in its own country, given the certain geographical limitations, lack of renewable energy in the region. So in that sense, India can be a key partner country, which is also trying to evolve its own indigenous green hydrogen ecosystems. Apart from that, electric vehicle ecosystem, EV batteries, co-manufacturing are areas where India and Korea are trying to work towards, from shipbuilding, meanwhile, to semiconductor technology development, where India's infrastructure has made a very important, robust beginning. So in that area too, Korea happens to be an important partner. So these are various areas in manufacturing, co-manufacturing as well, investments as well, where the trade deficit issue in particular is going to be addressed.
All right, Shubhendu, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us for the moment. The rescue operation has been intensified in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar district after flash floods. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah and the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha on Friday and assured them of all help. On Saturday, the Chief Minister visited the incident spot and met with the victims of the flash flood. He confirmed that there were 55 deaths that had taken place in the due to the Kishtwar flash floods. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will be on an official visit to Nepal from the 17th of this month, that's from Sunday, and at the invitation of Nepal's Foreign Secretary Amrit Bahadur Rai. This visit is happening before the expected visit of Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to India in September. This secretary-level meeting is expected to discuss issues to enhance areas of cooperation in border security, air flights, power sector, and others. Government initiatives like the National Logistics Policy, the Gati Shakti GST and logistics parks are modernizing infrastructure and cutting costs. The government's push for infrastructure development and digitalization has further accelerated growth, establishing India as a key logistics hub in Asia. The National Logistics Policy, or the NLP, was launched in September 2022 to create a more seamless logistics ecosystem by improving efficiency in reducing logistics costs. PM Gati Shakti was launched in October 2021 to integrate different modes of transport into a coordinated network. PM Gati Shakti symbolizes the plan's focus on faster, seamless and ambitious infrastructure. India's logistics sector was valued at about $250 billion in 2021. It is well positioned for strong growth with an expected compound annual growth rate of 10.7% till 2026. Let's now take a look at some sports news. World number one Aryna Sabalenka and the second-ranked Coco Gauff crashed out of the Cincinnati Open. Defending champion Sabalenka fell to Elena Rybakina 6-1, 6-4. Rybakina secured her fifth victory over Sabalenka in 12 meetings. She booked a semi-final meeting with Wimbledon champion Swiatek, while reigning French Open champion Gauff was ousted after 2-6, 6-4, 6-3. Lost to Italian Jasmine Paolini. Gauff had looked well on her way after a quick first set against Paolini, but her mistakes caught up with her as she was broken 8 times by the Italian, who overcame plenty of errors of her own to clinch the match. Carlos Alcaraz fought off a fierce challenge from Andrei Rublev to reach the semi-finals. Alcaraz broke over Rublev in the final game of a tense duel to emerge 6-3, 4-6, 7-5 winner, and will face third seed Alexander Zverev, who brought fifth seed Ben Shelton's run to an end with a 6-2, 6-2 victory. Former Australian cricket captain and coach Bob Simpson passed away at the age of 89 in Sydney on Saturday. Simpson played 62 tests between 1957 and 78, scoring 4,869 runs, including 10 hundreds, and claimed 71 wickets with his leg spin. Simpson, one of the greatest slip fielders the game has ever seen, initially retired from the game in 1968 before returning as Test captain at the age of 41 after several frontline Australian players had joined the World Series cricket in 1977. As coach, Simpson is credited with instilling discipline in an Australian side led by Alan Border, which went on to win the 1987 World Cup and regained both the Ashes and the Frank Worrell Trophy. Argentine soccer great Lionel Messi eagerly awaited visit to India has been officially confirmed. The 2022 FIFA World Cup winner is set to begin his three-city tour in Kolkata on the 12th of December. The football-crazy city of Kolkata will be the first stop on Messi's whirlwind tour titled Goat Tour of India 2025. He will then travel to Ahmedabad, Mumbai and New Delhi. This marks the Argentine legend's first trip to India since 2011, when he visited with his national team to play a FIFA friendly against Venezuela at the Salt Lake Stadium in Kolkata. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes that you see on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amrit Pal Singh from my entire team in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live.